Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the annual directors meeting for the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation. It is July 13th, 2023 at 9:01 a.m. Esther, could you please do a roll call?
In attendance, we have Vice Chair Gary Mackler, who's facilitating the meeting today, and directors John Sasaki, Jason Bradshaw, Carol Ryman, Nani Medeiros, and Dane Wicker.
Before we move into the election of board officers, I'd like to ask those directors who are attending remotely if you could please state who else, if any, is present at your location.
Good morning, Gary. Just myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Gary. Dan Wicker, just myself.
Director Medeiros.
Good morning, everybody. By myself, mahalo.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, and I forgot Director Dave tomorrow.
Okay, I'd like to move to item 2A, which is the election of the chair. And I will open the floor for nominations at this time.
They cannot see us, but they can see that we're here. They can see your name.
Are there any nominations for board chair?
Everybody,
Second.
Well, hang on. Are there any other nominations for board members?
It's a closed nomination.
Okay, hearing none, I will accept the nomination, and I will now close the nomination. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to give testimony? Okay, hearing none, I will call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to item 2B, vice chair. I would like to open up the floor for nominations for vice chair. Okay, I'd like to go ahead and make a nomination for Carol Ryman, Director Ryman, to serve as vice chair. Are you willing to accept the nomination?
A second.
Okay, are there any other nominations, directors for vice chair? Hearing none, I will close nominations for vice chair. Is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony? Yeah, not, I will call for the question. All those in favor of appointing Director Ryman as vice chair, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to serve. Moving on to item 2C, this is the appointment of board secretary. I will open for nominations. Okay, thank you.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for board secretary? Hearing none, is there anyone from the public wishing to give testimony? If not, I will call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. That completes the business for the annual meeting. This morning, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn the annual meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 With that, I'd like to call to order the regular board of directors meeting for the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation for July 13th, 2023. It is 9:06 a.m. I think we should probably also do a roll call. Yes, sir.
So we have now Chair Gary Butler, Vice Chair Carol Magden, Secretary Sean Sasaki, and Directors Jason Bradshaw, Jay Kimura, Donnie Madaris, and Danny Wicker.
We have, how many present? We have a quorum. Okay, thank you. Directors, do I need to ask everyone? Directors who are attending remotely, could you please once again indicate if anyone else is present at your various locations?
No, the same again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Same here. No one's with me.
And I'm still by myself as well.
Okay, thank you. Moving to item 2A, which is approval of minutes. This is for the regular meeting of June 2023. Can I have a motion to approve?
So
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, directors? Okay, hearing none, I will ask in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is approval of minutes. This is item 2B, executive session for April 13th, 2023. Can I have a motion to approve? Is there a second? Thank you. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Next, I'd like to move on to the in the agenda to item or section 3, and this is item 3A. This is the overview of and discussion on the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation's financing development programs, legacy infrastructure activities, housing related programs and activity, and real estate management and compliance activities.
Chair, before we move on, should I give the guidance for?
You should, yes, at this time, if you'd like to, Del, feel free.
Thank you, Chair. Anyone wishing to present oral testimony should indicate so to the chair. Oral testimony will be limited to 3 minutes, subject to the discretion of the chair. Your testimony must be related to an item on the board agenda. Before you begin your testimony, we ask that you identify yourself and spell your name for the record. After 3 minutes, I will call time, after which you will have 15 seconds to continue. Keep in mind that this is an opportunity for you to share your thoughts with us. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to provide an answer. For anyone wishing to submit written testimony, instructions for doing so are on the front of the agenda under the section titled Public Testimony.
Thank you. Okay, this is a for information item, and we have our chief planner, Chris Woodard, and our finance manager, David White.
Yeah, just want to note that we put this first on the agenda because for this half of the overview, providing an overview of the financing programs. So it was timely given that the next 8 items on the agenda are finance related. Next month, we'll provide a overview of the government branch and planning branch programs.
Okay.
And also because Chris wanted to go first, you know, he's never had a chance.
It never
to go
happens.
first.
Here you go.
Yeah.
So many activities.
Well, gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Okay. We'll share our screen here.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to acknowledge, I think I had 7 separate colleagues assist me in preparing this presentation, so appreciate the help. As Dean mentioned, this is just part 1 today. We're going to cover just I think a one slide background on the agency and then another 20 or so slides on our financing programs, and we'll cover development branch programs and activities and planning branch programs activities next month. Again, today's the background in financing programs. We've peppered the presentation with slides of projects that we've been involved in. This is Palpu Yu and Bihui. And a little bit of background on the agency. We were established through acts of the legislature in 2005 and 2006. Those acts were codified as HRS 201H and were administratively attached to DBED. Our mission is to increase and preserve the supply of affordable housing statewide by providing financing and development resources. We're governed by this 9-member board of directors. And with the passage of this year's budget bill, we now have 68 funded positions organized under an office of the executive director, and we have 4 branches: development, finance, fiscal management, and then the most important branch, evaluation and compliance. This is a little bit more background. So really all of our programs, all of our major programs, affordability is tied to guidelines that are published by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, on an annual basis for the 4 counties. There's a link to those data in the presentation. And just as an example, for the city and county of Honolulu, this year's data, a 60% AMI annual income for a 4-person household is $78,600 per year. 60% AMI is really the target of our low-income housing tax credit program, which is our major financing program for the agency. And that translates to a maximum monthly rent of $1,768 for a 2-bedroom unit. That monthly rent is inclusive of any utility allowance. As far as the continuum of housing goes, it ranges from unsheltered individuals and households to the area that we serve, which is really low-income rentals, and then, as I mentioned before, it goes up to 60% of AMI. And we also have homeownership and workforce rental programs that go up to 140% of the AMI. Halekulele in Makiki is on the screen right now. That's an award-winning project that HHFDC did with the help of the state, or in partnership with the state judiciary. It opened last year. These are our major financing programs, and I'm going to start with the low-income housing tax credit program. LIHTC program was created by the Tax Reform Act of 1986. Again, serves renter households earning up to 60% of the AMI, and it's administered by the Internal Revenue Service. So the largest housing program in the company is governed by the IRS, ironically. HUD notes on their website that it's the most important resource for creating affordable housing in the United States today, and it subsidizes roughly 1,400 projects a year with over 100,000 units. That's nationwide. The program provides investors with a dollar for dollar reduction in federal income tax liability in exchange for providing equity financing to affordable housing projects. That comes at a cost to the federal government of about $8 billion a year in foregone income tax revenue. And the state has a matching program that's equal to 50% of the federal LIHTC amount. And basically what happens is developers who are awarded the tax credits sell them to limited partners in return for equity investments in affordable housing projects. More on the LIHTC program. Tax credits are taken over a 10-year period. Taken over 5 years for state of Hawaii credits. Is that still accurate, or is it 10 years now?
No, it's 5 years.
It's 5 years, okay. Double checking. As far as affordability periods go, there's a 15-year compliance period during which investors can actually have their credits recaptured if they don't comply with the affordability provisions of the program. There's a 15-year extended use period that we monitor, but the credits are no longer subject to recapture during that period. And then under our qualified allocation plan that's used to allocate LIHTC, we require at least 45 years of affordability for new construction. There are two types of credits under the LIHTC program, so-called 9% credits and 4% credits. The 9% are more valuable, but they're subject to a volume cap that's set by the IRS. And it caps the amount of credits available to the state of Hawaii at approximately $4 million for 2023. And last year, we used our allocation to award credits to 2 housing projects for the construction of 134 new rental units. The 9% credits are designed to cover approximately 70% of a housing project's cost. The 4% credits are, in theory, unlimited in their availability. And they're designed to cover, they're less valuable. They're designed to cover about 30% of a housing project's cost. Those projects have to be financed with at least 50% tax exempt bonds, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And in 2022, approximately $27 million in credits were allocated to 9 housing projects for the construction of 1,168 new rental housing units. I'm gonna ask David to jump in here and talk about the Hulu May multifamily bond program.
Sure. Thanks, Chris. So the Hulu May multifamily or HMMF bond program is tax exempt private equity bonds that are used in conjunction with the 4% LIHTC credit. So as Chris mentioned, a project is required when activating 4% LIHTC credits to finance their project with at least 50% tax exempt bonds. Now, this is known as the 50% test. So you'll hear that being of utmost importance during the financing of a project and planning before closing. So the private activity bonds are municipal bonds. They're used to attract private investment in qualified projects, which would not only include affordable housing, but student loans, airports, universities, and hospitals. So the bond proceeds are used to provide below market rate loans to the developers for affordable housing projects. The amount of bond that can be issued each year is governed by the federal government. It's known as the bond cap or the bond ceiling. It's subject to availability and based on population determined annually by the IRS. So for 2023, which is our current award year, the bond cap for the entire state is $359 million. Now that is the bond cap for the entire state of Hawaii that is shared statutorily with the counties. Oh, sorry. We rehearsed this.
Yeah.
Pursuant to HRS section 39B2, so the bond cap that comes into the state is administered by the Department of Budget and Finance. Statutorily, 50% of that goes to the state HHFDC if necessary. 37.55% goes to the city and county of Honolulu, and the remainder is distributed among the other counties as shown. Now, as you can see, since it finances our affordable housing, the demand for private activity bond financing is tremendous. In 2022, the demand based on the applications that came in for financing was about 4-to-1 at least, the demand for bonds projects versus what was available. So, it's really important to realize how scarce and valuable the private activity bonds are, because they need to be used in order to activate the 4% LIHTC credits. And we are not guaranteed as HHFDC to receive 50% of the state's allocation. That is determined by the Department of Budget and Finance, because these private activity bonds can be used for other purposes that the state feels that may be necessary for the state, such as infrastructure, utilities, things like that.
That's what I don't.
So, so our other program that we have is the Rental Housing Revolving Fund program. So this is HHFDC's legislatively funded gap financing program. So it provides loans or grants to fill project capital stack gaps whenever the costs exceed what the LIHTC and bond sources. So these loans provide, again, below market interest rates. So it is a resource so developers don't have to go out to the commercial market or other or taxable loans to have these gaps financed in their project. So all servicing of RHRF loans are cash flow contingent. So on a project that receives an RHRF loan, the repayment is based on a certain percentage of available cash flow after recognized expenses and senior debt service. So the loan terms will coincide with the affordability commitment of the project to maintain the feasibility of the loan and the debt service, so as to prevent having to increase rents or somehow find a way for the project to increase operating income just to service the loan. We don't want that to happen. So we try to make these loans as affordable and feasible as possible and stretch them out for the duration of the affordability period. The allowable uses for RHRF include any activities for the development, pre-development, construction, acquisition, or preservation of affordable housing. House Bill 300 allocated $280 million infusion for fiscal years 24 and 25. That's the budget bill for the state this past session. So one of the rules for RHRF are basically we will provide funds to projects where 50% of the units are affordable at the 80% AMI level, and 5% of the units are at the 30% AMI level, and the remaining, if there's any remaining after that test is met, can be at 100%. There's a second priority tier, which we referred to last year in our other pilot program as tier 2, for earmarked funds, where funds are available to projects where all of the units are available at 100% AMI, 140% AMI or below. But the priority for RHRF is always on the lower AMI projects. So I mentioned the tier 2 pilot program that we successfully deployed funds for last year. That was funded by the legislature for the first time last year, where 150 million of RHRF was appropriated for projects between 80 and 100% AMI to hit the what's been dubbed the missing middle in Hawaii. And then this year, the budget bill House 100 includes 280 million additional infusion for fiscal years 24 and 25 combined.
Not a very well proofread.
No, my fault.
No.
The spelling's
A little bit more, David.
No. My pleasure. So how all this works together is illustrated in this slide right here. So this shows the 2 phases of projects that we finance. You'll always hear us discuss the interim or construction financing phase and the permanent financing, which is after the project is completed and placed in service. That process is called conversion. You hear that sometimes. So what this slide does is it illustrates in a typical project what the percentage of resources is used to finance each part of it, what source is financing the project. So you can see that bonds, of course, have to finance a tremendous amount of the project during construction. RHRF is used tremendously during construction as well. There's developer equity that is put in, as well as the LIHTC equity. So when you convert to permanent, you can see that the LIHTC equity makes up the majority of the funding of the project, because the project is done already. You don't want to fund something that you don't, and put your money in that, you're not going to have a stake in something that's actually there. And the bonds actually remain as a permanent debt financing source, as well as RHRF.
This is a representative project, but it's probably what, like a 90, 100 unit project?
Yes.
90 units maybe. Yeah, you're off the hook for now.
Thank you.
We also administer two programs under HUD's Community Planning and Development program. One is the Home Investment Partnerships Program, provides grants to state and local governments designed to create affordable housing for low-income households. We administer this program for the neighbor island counties, and we get about $3 million annually from HUD. The National Housing Trust Fund program provides grants to states to produce and preserve affordable housing for extremely low, very low income households. We administer this program for all 4 counties in the state. And again, we receive approximately $3 million for this program annually. The Mortgage Credit Certificate Program is another financing program that we administer. It's available to qualified home buyers, subject to limits based on household income and purchase price. It reduces personal federal income tax liability, and about $18 million credits were available during 2023. David talked a little bit earlier about bond cap, which is important to this agency. The financing source for this program is the bond cap, and it makes it compete with the Hula May multifamily bond program for resources. And the conversion cost is just, that's there to explain that because, maybe David can explain this better, but because Hula May multifamily fund bonds, you're leveraging that with the LIHTC program. It's actually more efficient for us to use the bond cap for multifamily bonds that are associated with the LIHTC program.
Yeah, that's correct. This is our tool that we use to assist home buyers. It's a very popular program. It's administered through HHFDC. We have lenders throughout the state that apply to use this program for their home buyers. And yes, so what happened is we get our allocation for 3 years of MCC. So what we do is we elected in years past to exchange that for MCC credits in the past, and we're in the middle of using our program year funds from that past allocation. So this isn't a yearly allocation. This was done previously, and we just use it each year as part of the needing to expend that allocation.
Our newest financing program is the Affordable Homeownership Revolving Fund program. It was created by the legislature in 2021. It was seeded with $5 million of capital in 2022. And its purpose is to make loans to nonprofits for the development of affordable for-sale housing projects. We're in the process of revising administrative rules that the board approved last year, but were never adopted. And we're tentatively scheduled to take applications beginning in January of next year. So this would primarily fund like self-help housing. Next month, we're going to talk about what I think is the more interesting stuff. No offense to David.
I'm taking that. Never any take.
Our dwelling unit revolving fund program, our new DERP equity pilot program that's under development as far as admin rules go, our popular expedited review program, general excise tax exemptions, our program to develop lands through the issuance of RFPs, and our master planning and infrastructure projects. And then last but certainly not least, our legacy infrastructure activities. That includes roads and other infrastructure in the villages of Kapolei, Oahu. And then some of you may have heard of the Waihole Valley subdivision on Windward, Oahu. There we own the water system, the roads. We also manage about 600 acres of agricultural and residential land. So this was part one. Oh, sorry, part two, even more. But wait, there's more. We have our under chapter 343, we conduct environmental review activities. We have a home ownership sales and lease program. There's a single family leasehold portfolio that we manage. We have housing advocacy and information activities that we undertake. For example, we are the caretaker of sort of the master affordable housing inventory for the state of Hawaii. That list is on our website. And then there are other real estate portfolio activities that we undertake. We also perform compliance for all of David's rental financing programs. And then we'll talk a little bit about the critical support staff that we have at HHFDC that help us get the work done day in, day out. That's the end of part one. We'll go through part two next month. And, you know, really this presentation was intended to not only help seasoned board members like Chair, but also new board members who maybe not are as familiar with the really extremely broad range of activities that we undertake at HHFDC. It's not just the stuff that we take to the board every month. You know, 90% of what we do is never comes to the board. So we wanted to educate the board a little bit better on those types of activities and programs. With that, we're happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you for the overview, gentlemen. Before we take questions from the board, I do want to ask if there's anyone from the public who would like to give testimonies on this agenda item. Okay, if not,
Maybe it's a question, I don't know. I'm just noticing that the allocation for rental housing revolving fund, that's supposed to be spread over 2 years, right?
Yes, it's over 2 years. I believe 100 million.
100 million in 2024 and 180 million in 2025.
So 180 million, is that's barely going to be enough to maximize the bond cap, right?
It's used in GAP, so it's in conjunction with the bond cap. It depends on which applications we get and how much they are requesting and how much we feel is feasible for the project itself. So there's no direct correlation that we find between exactly how much we are allocated versus how much production we can get out of it. But we always try to maximize it.
Okay. And then that bond cap, I know Honolulu kept its bond cap last year. Is it doing that again this year?
There's a legislative deadline to report on that, and I'm not certain what their plans are this time.
I think each county makes that decision based on whatever their allocation is, that percentage breakdown that was shown for each county. So I think they individually make that decision whether to retain their bond cap or not.
Are other counties also retaining their bond cap?
Okay, so maybe we could,
Yeah.
maybe you guys could do a sidebar.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I just was wondering.
No, thank you for the questions. And so I'd like to ask if directors at this time have questions for staff. Please.
I just wanted to say,
Is that you, Director Bresch?
Oh, I was just saying, great presentation, appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no further questions, we will complete this presentation. Look forward to the second phase next month's meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your time.
With that, I'd like to go to item 3B on the agenda, and this is to approve resolution 185, which amends resolution 157 by increasing the intended issuance amount of the Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds. And 2, request from the awardee to increase the low income housing tax credits reservation. And 3, the subordination of the rental housing revolving fund loan to an additional interim taxable loan in the amount of $1,438,601 for the Haliwilico Highlands project located in Aiea, Oahu, TMK number 19-9-078006. I have a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public wishing to offer testimony on this agenda item? Hearing none, I'll ask David to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. David Woy, Housing Finance Manager. Haliwilico Highlands is a 140-unit affordable project for seniors located in Aiea, Hawaii. It consists of studios and one-bedroom units, serving those in the 30, 50, and 60% AMI range with an affordability period of 65 years. This project was initiated as part of the Aiea Town Center Master Plan Development and awarded by RFP by the City and County of Honolulu in October 2018. On July 8th, 2021, the HHFDC Board of Directors approved and awarded the following to the project. Hula May multifamily bond tax exempt award of $26,750,000, $1,919,262 in federal LIHTC over 10 years annually and state LIHTC over 5 years, and a rental housing revolving fund loan of $23,792,353. On June 8th, 2023, the awardee submitted a request to amend the award as follows, requesting to increase the maximum HMMF bond issuance limit to $33,175,000, increase the annual federal LIHTC over 10 years and state LIHTC over 5 years to $3,089,136, and also to add a $1,438,601 taxable loan during construction, which will be in superior lien position to the RHRF loan during the interim period. The total budget increase for the project is $12,405,875, which is primarily due to the increases in construction costs, increases in interest rates, and increases in construction and property insurance costs. The project has addressed the cost increases by securing a $6 million affordable housing fund loan from the City and County of Honolulu. This will allow the project to reduce the use of the RHRF loan by 38%, down to $14,842,264. The additional $1,438,601 taxable tail will become the second position lien during the construction period in front of RHRF. The loan will only be applicable during the interim and construction period again, and at the time of conversion, the taxable portion will be satisfied and release of record. The project will maintain a 1.71 debt service ratio for the senior debt service, even with the addition of this taxable loan. The project has achieved the following milestones. All building permits have been received. The project has commenced all closing calls, and upon approval by the board, the project is targeting to close in September 2023. Staff has reviewed this request and recommends that the board of directors approve the following. Resolution 185, which amends Resolution 157 by increasing the project's HMMF bond award from $26,750,000 to $33,175,000, subject to the terms and conditions in Exhibits F and G. Also increasing the federal and state LIHTC awards to $3,089,136, subject to the terms and conditions in Exhibits G and H on the 4 action. the subordination of the RHRF loan during the interim to a new taxable loan, and authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. Developer is present today for any questions from the board.
Directors, do you have any questions for David? Any discussion on this? If not, I will call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, I think that was an aye. Hearing none, this motion carries. Thank you. Okay, going on to item 3C on the agenda. This is to approve resolution number 186, which amends resolution number 172 by increasing the intended issuance amount of the Hula Main multifamily tax exempt bonds. And 2, request from the awardee to increase the low-income housing tax credits reservation for the Liloa Hale project located in Kihei, Maui, TMK number 2-2-002-072. Can I have a motion?
So
Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? If not, ask you to present.
Thank you. So Liloa Hale is a 117 unit project for seniors located in Kihei, Maui. The project consists of 1 and 2 bedroom units, serving those in the 30, 50, and 60% AMI range with an affordability period of 69 years. On July 14, 2022, the HHFDC board made the following award to the project. $32,727,103 in Hula Main multifamily tax exempt bonds, $2,533,963 in federal LIHTC over 10 years and annual state LIHTC over 5 years, as well as a $16,250,000 rental housing revolving fund award. On February 17th, 2023, the awardee submitted a request to amend their LIHTC, HMMF, and RHRF awards as follows. Requesting $37,282,733 limit in total issuance authorization for the HMMF bonds, $3,203,641 in annual federal LIHTC over 10 years and state LIHTC over 5 years, and increase their RHRF award to $23,930,000. The RHRF request will be addressed in a subsequent for action. The developer chose to submit this request for additional resources as a new consolidated application during our 2023 funding round. The application was therefore evaluated, scored, and it competed with the other applicants in the funding round. The total project cost for the project is now $72,796,073. Overall, the budget increase reflects an increase of $14,362,308, which is primarily attributable to increases in construction costs and higher interest rates. Construction costs alone have increased by 26%. Financing costs increased by 51%. The project has increased its contingency budget by 5% as a precaution against future cost increases. The project itself has anticipated receiving building permits in Q4 of 2023 and shortly after closing its financing and beginning construction. The project targets completion in Q1 2025. Staff has reviewed the application and recommends that the board approve the following. Resolution 186, which amends Resolution 172 by increasing the intended issuance of HMF tax exempt bonds to $32,727,103, subject to the terms and provisions attached as exhibits F and G, and increase the annual LIHTC awards for federal and state LIHTC to $2,533,963. The developer is present remotely to present the changes to this project and also reintroduce the project to the board. And again, I wanted to note to the board that, this was a project that we did award last year. Their project scope had changed dramatically. The changes in cost and their request for resources was significant. Developer chose to come in and compete with other projects in the 2023 round to request these resources instead of coming just as a resource increase alone. So we believe we have the developer online. Are you present?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Could the
Sorry.
developer identify?
Oh, yes. Can you please identify yourself for the board and you can begin your presentation?
Aloha, this is Mo Mohana, High Ridge Costa. Thank you for your time, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair. Congratulations on your positions. And David, thank you. I think David did a very comprehensive review of the project and the changes in the project. And out of respect to the process, we elected to submit within these cycles, which is the February cycle, and compete accordingly. And we're glad to see that the project remains to be in a competitive position for the issuance supplemental ask. As David mentioned, the primary changes as the applications were submitted in February of 2022, we all know that there's been significant changes in costs, construction cost increases, as well as significant changes in interest rate increases, as well as insurance costs. Those are reflected in the current budget. So I have a presentation here really as a quick refresher as to the project itself. First slide, please. We can skip, I think the board knows about High Ridge Costa, so we'll skip these couple of slides and go straight. Halemaʻaʻulu, sorry, one slide back, is our local development partner. They are the managing general partner, as well as the property manager. Halemaʻaʻulu is a very well-established, very well-respected and experienced a nonprofit developer, owner, and operator in Maui. We are grateful to be partnering with them on this transaction, and they've played a key and lead role. Next slide, please. Project is in the Kihei area. As you can see here, it is on the Makai side. It is the property is being purchased from Hope Chapel, and then directly south of the site, Halemaʻaʻulu has an existing senior development. And to be clear, this will be a senior rental affordable housing, 117 units, 30% to 60% AMI. Next slide, please. This is a artist rendering. The Hope Chapel is in the foreground. You can see where the palm trees are. They will be retaining additional land before the proposed development, and directly to the south of our development, where you see our green rooftops, you will see the brown rooftops of Halemaʻaʻulu's senior community. Again, 117 units, 101 one-bedroom, 16 two-bedroom, 3 stories, elevator, interior corridor, with a courtyard area that we'll share with you next. Next slide, please. The building itself is a single building. There is parking available on both sides, on 3 sides of the building. And the center area has a full courtyard area that's fully landscaped with seating areas and active and passive areas for the seniors to enjoy. Next slide, please. This is the, I'm not sure, is it out of focus for you as well as me, or is it my glasses that are not up to prescription? I will go with my glasses, but so you'll see the selection of the 1 bedrooms, and you'll see the monthly rent, proposed monthly rent as published, 10%, 50%, and 60%. And the same thing follows for the 2 bedroom, 60%. Sorry, now I can't read. Should be 30% to 60%, but I'm not seeing it clearly. 30, 50, and 60 as well. If it's not, then it's a typo error. My apologies. Plus 1 manager's unit, because we will have a resident manager. Next slide, please. The projected schedule, as David alluded to, we have been processing our building permits. Our plans have been submitted in January. We are down to 1 single department that we're addressing their comments, Department of Water, and we hope to submit a final set in the next week or so, moving towards a building permit that should put us in a position of closing with HHFDC on the bonds. Next slide, please. These are additional pictures. This is from the highway looking Makai. Next slide. And this is looking south again for Hope Chapel. I think you saw an earlier slide on this one. That ends my presentation. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, Mo. Directors, any questions for the developer? Any discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Moving to the next agenda item, which is item 3D. This is to approve a request from the awardee to amend the rental housing revolving fund award for the Liloa Hale project located in Kihei, Maui, TMK number 2-2-002072. Can I ask for a motion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Anyone in the public wishing to offer testimony on this agenda item? Okay, if not, I'll just turn it over to David again.
Thank you. So this is the same project, Lilo Hale, that was discussed in the previous board action request. The project is requesting an increase in its rental housing revolving fund award from 16,250,000 as previously requested and awarded on July 14th, 2022. And has applied for an increase amount of $23,930,000. The project again submitted this request as part of a new application through the 2023 HHFDC funding round. The amended terms, loan terms for the rental housing revolving fund loan would be as follows. The new loan amount of $23,930,000 for a total loan term of 62 years. Years 1 and 2 would be at 0% interest and 0.25% interest after year 2. It would require an origination fee of 0.5% of the loan amount to be paid at the time of financial closing. No payments will be due during the construction period of years 1 and 2. After year 2, the project will require to be paying 75% of available cash flow after the payment of expenses, senior debt service, and other recognized expenses. The aggregate loan to value ratio of the project will never exceed 100%. No disbursements of developer fee will be made until the project is completed. And the RHRF award is subject to the availability of funds. Staff has reviewed this request and recommends that the Board of Directors approve the following: an increase to the RHRF project award for Liloa Hale to $23,930,000 from $16,250,000. Subject to the following terms, conditions, and provisions: authorization and approval by the governor for the release of RHRF funds, completion of all documentation necessary to secure the release of RHRF funds, execution of all HHFDC documentation, certification of the applicant to comply with all applicable statutory requirements as specified in the action, and again, subject to the availability of RHRF funds, and to authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this action.
Any questions, directors? Now I'll call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Let's move on to agenda item 3E, which is to approve an extension to resolution number 169, which provides for official intent with respect to the issuance of Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Parkway Village at Kapolei Lot 6 project located in Kapolei, Oahu, TMK number 19-1-16018. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay, we have a second. Is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? If not, turn it back to you, David.
Thank you, Chair. So Parkway Village at Kapolei Lot 6. This is a 236 unit project for families located in Kapolei, Oahu. The project will consist of studios 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units serving families in the 30 and 60% AMI range with an affordability period of 51 years. The project is a leasehold property with the City and County of Honolulu as the fee owner. On July 14th, 2022, the HHFDC Board of Directors awarded the following to the project: Tax exempt HMMF bond award, as resolution 169 of $58,239,230. $5,728,503 in annual federal LIHTC over 10 years and annual state LIHTC over 5 years. The original issuance expiration date to issue the tax exempt bonds is July 14th, 2023. On June 15th, 2023, the awardee submitted a request to extend the resolution 169 deadline to issue the HMMF bonds. Since the original award, the project has achieved the following milestones. Site control is secured by a council-approved lease with the city and county of Honolulu. The grading and superstructure permits have been approved and received. All sources of construction and permanent financing remain in place, and the lender has confirmed that they are able to close on a superstructure permit. Sources and uses of the project are being finalized, and the project currently is on closing calls and targeting financial closing and the subsequent start of construction in Q3 2023. The project targets its overall completion in Q3 2025. Staff has reviewed the request and recommends the following: extending the deadline to issue HMMF bonds for Parkway Village at Kapolei Lot 6 to December 31st, 2023, and authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. We have representatives from the developers team here to answer any questions from the board.
Directors, do you have questions for staff for the developer? No questions. I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Going on to item 3F of the agenda. This is to approve an extension to resolution number 170, which provides for the official intent and with respect to the issuance of Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Parkway Village at Kapolei Lot 7 project located in Kapolei, Oahu, TNK number 19-1-160018. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Sean. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Jim. Is there anyone in the public wishing to offer testimony to this agenda item? If not, I will ask David to present.
Thank you, Chair. This is Parkway Village at Kapolei Lot 7. This is a 169 unit project for families in Kapolei, Oahu. Again, consisting of studios, 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units serving families in the 30 and 60% AMI range with an affordability period of 51 years. Project again is leasehold with the city and county of Honolulu as the fee owner and lessor. On July 14th, 2022, the HHFDC Board of Directors awarded the following for the project: up to $39,865,882 in Hula May multifamily tax exempt bonds as resolution 170, and $3,877,002 in federal LIHTC annually over 10 years and state LIHTC over 5 years. The project has achieved the same milestones as the previous project discussed, Parkway Villages at Kapolei Lot 6, grading and superstructure permits received. Project is currently on closing calls. These remain two separate projects, but they are tracking as a simultaneous close in Q3. So they're following the same timeline as the previous Parkway Villages at Kapolei Lot 6. So the targeting the first completion of the first building in this phase for Q4 2024. Staff has reviewed this request, requesting that the Board of Directors approve extending the deadline to issue HMMF bonds for Parkway Village at Kapolei Lot 7 to December 31st, 2023, and authorizing the Executive Director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. And again, developer is present for any questions from the board.
Thank you. Directors, do you have any questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Go to item 3G of the agenda. This is to approve an extension to resolution number 173, which provides for official intent with respect to the issuance of Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Rice Street Apartments project located in Lihue, Kauai, TMK numbers 4-3-6-003-010 and 4-3-6-003-066. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Jay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? Okay, if not, David.
Thank you, Chair. Rice Street Apartments is a 66-unit project for families in Lihue, Hawaii. The project consists of 1 and 2 bedroom units serving families in the 30, 40, and 60% AMI range with an affordability commitment of 51 years. On July 14, 2022, HHFDC awarded the following for the project. $16,200,000 in Hula May multifamily tax exempt bonds as resolution 173 and $1,554,037 in annual federal LIHTC over 10 years and state LIHTC over 5 years. The deadline to issue the HMMF bonds for this project is currently July 14th, 2023. On May 31st, 2023, the awardee submitted a request to extend the deadline of resolution 173. The project has achieved the following milestones since its award. A purchase agreement to purchase the fee interest of the site remains in place. The project has received all of its discretionary approvals. It does not need a 201H in order to proceed. The awardee has also received a letter from the Kauai County Housing Agency that permits are ready to be issued pending the submission of a minor note to be added to the architectural plans. And all financing commitments remain in place on the project. The project has a $500,000 grant from the County of Kauai, commitment from the County of Kauai, and has received $858,000 in fee waivers from the County of Kauai as well. I do want to make a correction to the for action on page 4 at the top, item E3, the construction start date. That should read Q4 2023. Which would be immediately after the target closing. And the project will then be completed in Q2 2025. So item E3, page 4, construction start date, Q4 2023. Staff has reviewed the request and recommends the HHFDC Board of Directors approve the following extension of the deadline of resolution 173 to issue HMMF bonds to April 14th, 2024, and authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes for action. Developer representatives have traveled to join us today for any questions on the project, and they are present online as well.
Oh, okay. Well, at this point, I will ask the directors if you do have any questions for David or for the representatives from, or if they'd like to just say a few words.
So yeah,
Since you've traveled.
Yeah, we've traveled. Okay.
Come on.
Okay. We appreciate your consideration, on the extension of last year's action. We're in a similar situation to some of the other developers where there's costs have gone up, things have gotten a little tougher over the last year, and interest rates have changed, et cetera. However, our team has really made a lot of progress in the last year, and we are permit ready. We have the environmental wrapped up in final stage at this point, and we have essentially a shovel ready project. And so staff has been very good and worked with us throughout the process, and we're very appreciative of their efforts.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Oh, I'm
could you
sorry.
please,
My name is Jim Ivory. I'm with Folger Pratt,
Okay.
for, one of the development partners on this deal.
Thank you.
So I wanted to definitely let the board know, as Jim said, they traveled when we were working on this extension with them. They made the effort to be here in person here with us in Hawaii, provided us a ton of information. We had excellent discussions on the status of the project, and they've been very forthcoming on where they are, and it's been a great partnership to work with them.
Thank you. Directors, do you have any questions? I'm silent. I'm going to call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Going to agenda item 3H. This item is to approve an extension to resolution number 174, which provides for official intent with respect to the issuance of Hulame multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Honuaula Living Community Project located in Kailua Kona, Hawaii. TMK numbers 37-4-004-014 and 37-4-004-092. Can I have a motion? Thank you. Is there a second? There's a second. Great. Is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? Okay, not hearing none, I'm gonna go back to David and you, please.
Thank you, Chair. So Honolulu Living Community is a 105 unit family project in Kailua Kona on the Big Island of Hawaii. This project will have 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units for families, serving those in the 40, 50, and 60% AMI range with an affordability commitment period of 45 years. On July 14th, 2022, the Board of Directors awarded the following to the project: $25,900,000 in Hulame multifamily tax exempt bonds as resolution 174, $2,569,880 in annual federal LIHTC over 10 years and annual state LIHTC over 5 years. The original deadline to issue HMMF bonds is July 14th, 2023. On May 15th, 2023, the awardee submitted a request to extend the deadline of resolution 174. Since receiving its award, the project has achieved the following milestones. The awardee had originally secured site control via a lease agreement with the fee owner, Westview Development LLC. During the process of its due diligence, and since its award, they discovered legal issues regarding the site, and the project is now pursuing the acquisition of the fee interest of the property in order to resolve these matters. The awardee anticipates resolving these issues by the end of Q3 2023. Otherwise, the project has received all of its entitlements and its discretionary approvals, including its 201H. The project has submitted for building permits with the County of Hawaii and expects to receive them in Q4 2023, and all other financing commitments remain in place. Staff has reviewed this request and recommends that the Board of Directors approve the following: the extension of the deadline of resolution 174 to issue HMMF bonds to July 24th, 2024, and authorize the Executive Director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. The developer is present with us today to answer any questions from the board.
Wait, could we have you come up and could you please state your name for the record?
Good morning. I'm Carl Morales from Honolulu. Thank you, Chair, Co-Chair, Executive Director, and the staff. Blessed to be here. Through the normal ups and downs of development, we were surprised to see the legal action and question of our site control, which we have been able to resolve. So at the end of the day, with our site control in place with our lease, we're able to move forward with all the different requirements of the county, and look forward to doing so. A much needed project in Kona, and we appreciate your consideration for this.
Thank you. Directors, questions for the developer? Okay, I do actually have a question. I was looking at the updated milestones for permits and loan closings and I reviewed a correspondence that you provided from Ronald Kim,
Yes,
and he indicated in his letter that was the expectation to conclude this matter with PMJ Kona LLC in about 3 to 4 months. That was his projection, I guess.
yes.
And then so I'm just wondering, is it really you still think you can get your building permits in your fourth quarter? Because you did mention that there's a consolidation and re-subdivision
Correct,
needed for your design.
correct.
And that's I guess a condition of getting the building permit. So
Correct.
you still feel that the time frame is achievable?
Yes, we've received tremendous support from Mayor Roth and the different directors at the county. Director Kern of planning and walking us through all the different steps for the building permit. We've already submitted our foundation and structural permit. So we're working through some of the engineering revisions on that. So the 3 to 4 month time period for resolving all that's in front of us in terms of the lot consolidation, the possible acquisition of the parcel versus it being a leasehold are, I think, within a reasonable time period to achieve.
Yeah, I just want to say I understand it's an unforeseeable thing that came up for you, but it is a little concerning to see a list pendants on the property.
Correct.
And just kind of wondering about the time frame to resolve the legal matter. And I mean, I'm hoping you can get it resolved sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and it's a great point. Right now, a federal judge has signed a stipulation verifying that our lease is valid. So regardless of any outcome of that particular situation and whoever receives ownership, our lease is validated and confirmed. Also, we've been identified as a victim within the circumstance. So again, going back to the normal ups and downs of development, adding this obviously additional layer, very proud of our partners and teams who have endured this process. But at the end of the day, with the federal judge verifying and sign the stipulation of our site control with our lease, we're in full control of the site and able to move forward.
Sure, what we can do is we'll monitor the situation.
Yeah.
And we can report back in 6 months on progress of the
I think
project.
that would be good to try to, rather than not hearing anything for a year, we could get a status report, say in 6 months, that would be appreciated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to do so.
Okay. Any other questions, board members? If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thanks. Thanks for being here. Okay, let's go on to item 3I on the agenda. This is to approve a resolution number 187, which provides for the official intent with respect to the issuance of Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds. And 2, reservation of low-income housing tax credits for the Nahale Makoa project located in Waikoloa, Hawaii, TMK number 36-8-042022. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Sean. Is there a second? Second, thanks, Carol. Okay, is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? If not, let's turn it over to David once again.
Thank you, Chair. This is one of our new awards for the funding round 2023. Did want to, of course, mention that based on what Chris Woodard said in his earlier presentation, this product that we're presenting to you is the product of the work of many of the other branches here at HHFDC. So thank you to the executive director, as well as the development branch and the planning branch and fiscal as well. They all contribute to these products that were produced before you today. So for Nahale Makoa, it is a 140 unit project serving families in Waikoloa on the Big Island of Hawaii. These will be 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, serving those in the 30, 60, 80, 100, and 140% AMI groups, with an affordability commitment period of 61 years. The project is a leasehold property with the County of Hawaii as the fee owner and lessor, and has a total project area of 111,104 square feet. The applicant is Kamakoa Nui Limited Partnership, and the general contractor is Moss Construction. On February 16, 2023, Kamakoa Nui Limited Partnership submitted a consolidated application for Nahale Makoa requesting the following: the authorization of the issuance of up to $40,200,000 in Pulame multifamily tax exempt bonds, $2,993,321 in federal low-income housing tax credits annually over 10 years, and annual state LIHTC over 5 years. They also requested a $31,173,107 rental housing revolving fund loan, which will be presented in a subsequent for action. The issuance of multifamily tax exempt bonds requires private activity bond cap, which the state does receive annually in limited amounts based on our population from the federal government. For 2023, the state of Hawaii as a whole received a total of $358,845,000 in bond cap. The state of Hawaii Department of Budget and Finance oversees further allocation of the bond cap to each county as provided for by statute. HHFDC, on behalf of the state, as well as each county, may issue their respective bond cap. The Low-Income Housing Tax Credit, or LIHTC program, was established by the Tax Reform Act of 1986. HHFDC is the state designated housing credit agency that may issue low-income housing tax credits. The total project cost for this project is $80,379,066. The total cost per unit is $574,140, and the cost per square foot is $723.46. Among the factors contributing to the project costs that have been identified by the developer: hard rock excavation, retaining wall construction, the logistics associated with construction on Hawaii Island, and additional subcontractor premiums due to a limited availability of subs. The total developer fee for the project of 6.33% of net development costs is below the group applicant average. The market study provided by the project indicates more than adequate demand for rentals in the AMI range of the project in the primary market area that the project will serve. Units are expected to be leased up within 6 months of receiving certificates of occupancy. As far as readiness for the project, the 201H exemptions were obtained in November 2007. There is no SMA permit applicable to this project. The grading permits are expected in October 2023, and the building permits are expected in December 2023. The applicant provided design development level drawings, and building plans were submitted to the county for approval in February of 2023. The proposed project timeline and development schedule that was provided indicates that they will receive all building permits again by Q4 2023, with subsequent loan closing and start of construction by Q1 2024. The project itself targets completion in Q1 2025, with stabilized occupancy by Q4 2025. The requested approval of the resolution will represent an official action undertaken by the issuer as required by the Multifamily Housing Fund bond program. However, this does not authorize the final sale of tax exempt bonds for the project. The approval only will facilitate further discussions and negotiation between staff, developer, underwriter, bond counsel, and all other necessary parties to further confirm the feasibility of the project, and the approval of the resolution neither commits nor obligates HHFDC to issue bonds for the project. Should the board approve the resolution and the project be deemed feasible from the subsequent discussions, the staff will return to the board for final authorization of issuance and sale and delivery of bonds. The bond issuance is also subject to the availability of bond cap and the final approval by the Department of Budget and Finance and the Governor. Staff has evaluated and scored the project along with the other applicants in the 2023 funding round and recommends that the HHFDC Board of Directors approve the following. Resolution 187, providing the official intent to issue HMMF tax exempt revenue bonds up to $40,200,000 to the Nahalimakoa project. Reserve up to $2,993,000, $993,321 in annual federal LIHTC over 10 years and state LIHTC over 5 years. And it authorized the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. We have representatives from the developer here today to do a brief presentation on their project for the board.
Before you begin, if we could both state your names for the record.
Aloha, everyone, Chair, Vice Chair, Directors, Executive Director, Mina Kami, and the staff of HHFDC. My name is Audrey Awaya. I'm Executive Director of Pacific Housing Assistance Corporation, who is the sponsor and the developer of Nahalimakoa.
And my name is Jessica Gassman. I'm the support and the assistant for Pacific Housing Assistance Corporation.
We're just thrilled and pleased to be here today to present our project for your consideration for financing. It's been a while. A brief history about Pacific Housing. We are a Hawaii nonprofit housing corporation with 43-year history and track record of developing affordable rental housing for low to gap group income families, seniors, and persons with special needs, and for sale housing, and we do it statewide. Our housing portfolio includes 15 properties, and 3 of our LIHTC properties are shown in this slide. Our volunteer board of directors includes representatives from every county. The county selected Pacific Housing's RFP proposal in January 2021 to develop Nahalimakoa. Nahalimakoa is located in the county of Hawaii's Kamakoa Nui, a 279-acre master plan residential community in Waikoloa. The county has plans for approximately 875 more units in the coming years. Major employment centers, with 6 of the island's 10 largest employers, are located in South Kohala. Nahalimakoa will provide relief for many East Hawaii residents who for years would endure long commutes to their jobs in West Hawaii, or stay with relatives and friends during the work week, or arrange other housing solutions such as camping out in their cars. So Nahalimakoa will eliminate the long commutes and allow workers more time at home, reducing stress for families. Nahalimakoa is a livable community where residents can enjoy the open green space with many outdoor amenities. The community center at the project entry welcomes residents and guests alike. Okay. Comfortable and spacious 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments include features crucial for our targeted rental market. Thirty of the 40 apartments are reserved for families earning over 60% and below 140% of AMI, the missing middle and the gap group households who make too much to qualify for the LIHTC units but cannot afford market rate rental housing. You know, our educators, government employees, firefighters, police, hotel workers, etc. In February 2022, the County of Hawaii awarded Nahalimakoa 30 project-based vouchers, greatly assisting in the project's financial feasibility. This slide summarizes our request to the HHFDC for Hula Mea multifamily bonds, 4% LIHTC, and rental housing revolving fund. And Nahalimakoa is shovel ready and set to go. The column on the left shows approvals that we have obtained to date, and our remaining milestones are shown in the column on the right. And as David mentioned, we're anticipating getting our building permit, closing our financing is planned for December this year, with construction commencing in January of next year. Oops. Oops. That's okay, we're almost done. We anticipate that families will be able to begin occupying apartments in May 2025. And I guess behind that screen is our development team, our highly experienced development team. And our warmest and heartfelt mahalo to the board and staff of HHFDC. And we humbly request that the board approve our funding request for Nahali Makoa. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
We lose the board.
Yeah, just went mute.
Yeah.
It's showing the chat who's left, and yeah, a lot of people.
Hi, aloha, this is the public. We can still hear you guys, but we can't see the board.
Coming online. Yeah, so we're
Sorry about that.
it's the thing, right?
So I remember when I did stuff with that. Also, when you go to the corner side office, you have to go back. Yeah.
Okay, I would like to call this meeting back to order. For the interruption, we were, I was asking directors if there are any questions for the developers who's here today to represent for Nahali Mako. Everybody is muted, so. Okay, if there are no questions, I will call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
the
very much.
questions. Okay, I'd like to move on to agenda item 3J, and this is to approve a rental housing revolving fund project award for the Nahale Makoa project located in Waikoloa, Hawaii, TMK number 36-8-042-022. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Sean. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? Okay, if not, David?
Thank you, Chair. This is the corresponding rental housing revolving fund award request for Nahale Makoa. As part of their application submitted on February 26, 2023, Kamakoa Nui Limited Partnership applied for $31,173,107 rental housing revolving fund loan. The loan will be used with the LIHTC equity and the HMF bond proceeds loan as part of their overall financing structure. The staff has reviewed the application and is recommending the following loan terms for the project. Recommending the loan amount of $31,173,107 for a total loan term of 52 years. Recommending an interest rate of 0% for years 1 and 2, the interim period, and 1% after interest after year 2. There will be no payments due during the construction periods, years 1 and 2. And after year 2, payment of 75% of available cash flow after the payment of expenses, senior debt, and other recognized expenses. The project's aggregate loan to value ratio shall not exceed 100%. There will be no disbursement of the developer fee until the project is complete, and the RHRF award is subject to the availability of funds. Staff has evaluated and scored the project and its application along with the other applicants in the 2023 funding round and recommends that the HHFDC Board of Directors approve the following. An RHRF project award loan of $31,173,107 to the Nahale Makoa project, subject to the following terms, conditions, and provisions. The authorization and approval by the governor for the release of RHRF funds, the completion of all necessary documentation to secure the release of RHRF funds, the execution of all required HHFDC documentation, certification by the applicant to comply with all applicable statutory program requirements as specified in the floor action, and the availability of RHRF funds, and to authorize the executive director to effectuate all tasks necessary to achieve this for purposes of this floor action.
Thank you. Director, if you have questions for David? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, David. Also, I just want to, just as a comment, pass along our thanks to you and your staff for bringing 2023 projects to the board as rapidly as you have in July.
Well, thank you, Chair. It's really, I have a wonderful team behind me in the finance branch. And as I mentioned, also significant contributions from development, fiscal, as well as the planning group as well. So really, I think a team effort and the support of our interim director here really made the difference and makes the process easy. And we feel confident that we've awarded the best projects for the state on behalf of the corporation.
Thank you. At this time, it is 10:34. I'd like to take a 10-minute recess. To call the meeting back to order. We are now on the agenda going to item 3K. And this is to approve an increase to the budget for Waihole Valley Agricultural Park and residential lots subdivision located in Waihole, Ko'olapoko, Oahu, TMK numbers 1-4-8 various for costs and expenses related to infrastructure, operations and maintenance, land management, and lease administration. Is there a motion?
So move.
Okay, thank you. Sean, is there a second? Okay. This time I'd like to ask if there's anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item. Is there, I'm sorry, was there someone raising their hand? Well, let me ask one more time. Is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? If not, I'd like to turn it over to staff to present this to the
Thank you,
board.
Chair, Vice, and the rest of the board, and Boss Minakami. Good morning. I'm Rodney Shiraishi. I'm with the Development Support Branch here at HHFDC, who is in charge of or responsible of taking care of the infrastructure for Waihole Valley. Today I'm here to request approval for a budget increase, spending increase that'll should take us over the next 5 years. The bottom line to this budget increase is that we are asking for a 6.3 million increase. Now, spending wise, we're actually going to anticipate spending $9.2 million, but we already have encumbered some funds to take care of the first couple of years. So the net is 6.3. I apologize, but I'm going to jump around from the 4 action a little bit. There's a lot of numbers and there's a lot of work. And just to create maybe a better, more memorable picture in your mind of what this budget request is all about, it's going to jump around a bit.
Sure.
The budget request consists of planning and property management items, which Chris Woodard is here. And then we're going to talk about the existing water system, the new water system, and then the infrastructure. So first up, let's have Chris explain his budget request for planning and property management.
Yeah. Thank you, Rodney. As I mentioned in an earlier presentation today, HHFDC has lease administration and land management responsibilities for about 595 acres of land in Waihole Valley, and subdivided into over 100 lots. And it includes 91 long-term ground leases that we administer. And as part of the property management function, we do have a major project to remediate a landfill that's located on lot 33. It was an illegal construction waste landfill that operated back in the 90s, I believe. It's going to cost quite a bit to clean up. We're asking for an incremental $750,000 of funding to remediate that landfill and get this lot back into agricultural production. We're also asking for $75,000 to clean up a handful of lots that we're expected to take back into our inventory over the next 5 years. And the third item in our request is $115,000 in funds that we anticipate using for consulting services to help us plan an exit strategy or quasi exit strategy for the valley. We lose currently $1.1 million per year in operations in the valley. And so we're hoping that, you know, some of the funding that the board will approve today will assist us in our efforts to figure out what the end game is in Waihola as far as land management and lease administration goes. Any questions on the planning and property management budget request? Okay, I'll let Rodney take the rest.
Thank you, Chris. So I'm going to continue on with the discussion. And the budget request really has to do with infrastructure. So what is infrastructure? Infrastructure is the maintenance and care of the roads, streetlights, landscaping in a type of a Zen garden, but just overall grooming of, you know, the vacant lots and strips along the streets and whatnot, keeping them safe for people to walk on. And most critical is the supply of potable water to residents. So with that in mind, that the existing water system HHFDC owns and operates, it's 30+ years old. It's showing its age. We recently identified the tank 1 million gallon tank, as being, you know, showing its age, showing corrosion and coming of a concern. So we sent a consultant out to do some investigation. We are planning to repair the tank, but the repair of the tank is complicated because we have to continue the supply of water to the residents. We have to provide uninterrupted supply of water. And so the repair of the tank becomes costly because essentially we have to repair the airplane while we're flying it. And so there's a lot of money being spent on the bypass system to keep the water flowing. And so for that, we're asking for $660,000. Just to, I'm sorry. We're asking for about $3 million for the whole thing, for the design, for the repair, and get the system back and running until extending its life for at least 10 years. So, we also are embarking on looking at a new water system. This is a new water source. We're currently in the environmental assessment stage. But the thought here is that the existing system is 30 years old. It's hard to keep that old car running. It's prone to flooding. We've had in 2021, we had a flood, had a lot of damage to it. The site is remote. It's hard for maintenance crews to get to it. So we're looking at alternatives at the moment. So for that effort, we're asking for $920,000. We also do daily maintenance and operation on the water system. We typically spend $270,000 a year keeping that system up and running. We're asking for $1.45 million for the next 5 years. We also have to incorporate repairs, $540,000 worth of repairs. We're expecting and experiencing already a lot of breakage. And as everybody feels it, inflation is kicking in a lot of these repairs and labor costs. Jumping off the water system, albizia trees has been a big concern. Albizia is nothing but a weed in the form of a tree, right? And it spreads, it causes potential hazard to life and property and crop. We need to address it. So we are planning to implement a program to control the Babesia spread. First of all, try to reduce the potential hazards for our residents there, and then come up with a more maintenance plan where we can, literally nip it in the bud and keep the costs down. We are looking, of course, the albesias that we intend to control are only for HHFDC vacant lots, right? And owners are responsible for their own lots. But, that's what we're looking at. But we need, if there are encroaching albesia trees, there needs to be some kind of enforcement program or something to reduce hazards for our Waihole residents. So we're asking 3.2 million. So it's not just a matter of cutting down trees. After you cut down the trees, you gotta dispose of the timber. If you don't dispose of the timber, there's harm for in the future. If these things get carried away by floods, they block up drainage system. Now we got a flooding problem. So our $3.2 million, of course, comes up with a plan and starts the reduction. And also we will dispose of anything that we cut down that could potentially land in our streams or drainage canals or whatever. So it's really a comprehensive look at trying to reduce this hazard. As far as the infrastructure, other infrastructure items, this includes, again, just the grass cutting, fixing potholes and roads, maintaining streetlights. We also pay Hawaiian Electric Company bill for streetlights to keep the pumps running at the water plant. We're asking for a $1.1 million budget increase for the next 5 years. Typically, on these items alone, we spend $350,000 a year just to maintain the infrastructure. We've also got some major items on the infrastructure. We got some stream embankments that's eroding. We continue to let it erode. It'll affect the roads that these embankments support, and we got bigger problems. So we're proposing $930,000 to repair that. So just in summary, we've verified that we do have the funds here. We just need your approval and the governor's approval. We are asking for $6.3 million. Typically, we spend $1.85 million a year. This 6.3 is a 1.25 because we already have some funding in the bank. These items are no real items. They're just basic essential items, critical to keep the infrastructure strong and safe for our residents. And if we choose to defer any of these items, we're just looking at a bigger problem down the road.
Thank you, Randy. Directors, do you have questions for Randy?
Do we still have quorum?
Oh,
Bonnie's still there? Okay. Things back also now.
Just once, directors, are there questions for Randy regarding this for action? Hey, if not, I will call for the question. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's move on to the next agenda item, which is item 3L. And this is an overview of a discussion on the Novogradac private activity bonds and 4% low-income housing tax credit. This is for information, I guess, is what we call this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so this was the training we tried to we had you folks take a look at. It was put together by Novogradac, who is a nationwide tax consultant for LIHTC and bond programs. They're a great resource to HHFDC. They contribute a lot to NASHA, National State Housing Agency, that we're a part of as well. And they do some, we're trying to also get some consulting services for them at some point in the future as well. The training that you folks had was mainly focused on the private activity bonds, and I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions on the training or anything in detail. Chris's presentation went over the basics of it as well, not quite as much detail. There are some parts of the program that he doesn't use, but in terms of best practices, when listening to what other HFAs present to us, as well as what Novogradac says are best practices for the states, what he really does, what we need to be doing for what I think is our unique situation, in that we have comparatively small population in the eyes of Treasury for population in our terms of our private activity bond allocation, but expensive land, very little land to work with. So, you know, it was really so you folks could get a little better view into the mechanics of what the private activity bond program is. So, I mean, if there's any questions on that program or any program in general at this point, I'll do my best to address them.
Directors, questions for David? Yes, everybody understands it all now.
Hey, you guys are all listeners.
That's
So
good.
I'd like to submit my vacation request for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to move on to section 4 of our agenda. This is a report by the executive director and I guess Dean to.
Thank you, Chair, Directors. Before I start off my report, I'll ask Cynthia to come up and provide a legislative update since the session is wrapped up and bills are signed.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Cynthia Nyros, housing planner here at HHFDC. I know you have the list of bills in your packet. I just wanted to highlight 5 of them. They have become law. First one is House Bill 675, which is now Act 91. It states that if sufficient funding is available, HHFDC will hold 2 funding rounds. The next bill is House Bill 677, which is now Act 92. This is the JERF Equity Pilot Program. This helps qualified residents buy their homes by purchasing the equity, which lowers the amount that they pay. Yesterday, this one became law without the governor's signature, so it's not noted in your copy of Exhibit C. It's House Bill 923, which is now Act 262. So this one makes various changes to the private activity bond statute to ensure fairness and equity in the allocation of the limited bond cap for housing. And this is especially helpful for counties that do not have their own bond issuance program, such as Maui and Hawaii Island. Okay, next we have House Bill 1363, which is now Act 48. It extends the time period a county can adopt a surcharge on the state tax and authorizes the use of county surcharge revenues for housing infrastructure in the neighbor islands. This is an important measure because it provides another source of funding to help pay for the high cost of offsite infrastructure. Okay, and the last one is House Bill 1397, which is Act 95. It establishes a supportive housing pilot program. Specifically, it authorizes HHFDC to assist in the development of rental housing projects in which some or all of the units are targeted to special needs individuals or families who require supportive services or with household incomes at or below 30% AMI.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia.
Thanks, Dana.
Continuing on with my report, just want to note that David and I did attend the NASHA Credit Connect conference last month. Some highlights of that conference with respect to private activity bonds, usage has increased nationwide steadily since 2017. We're a bond constrained state. As we mentioned earlier, we receive applications 4 times in excess of what we have available. And we're seeing more and more states in that position where I would say 10 years ago, there were only a handful of states where that were oversubscribed. Now there are 17 states in that situation, or 18 states, including Washington, D.C., that are oversubscribed. Some policy recommendations that were recommended is to have flexibility in issuer fees, so that it's a less costly option for borrowers, that housing finance agencies should align with developers and have good working relationships with developers, limit bond issuance to no more than 53% of qualified basis so that you can stretch your bonds more, CPR mixed income projects so that market rate units are not being subsidized, allocate more or all of your bonds to multifamily housing to set up a state LIHTC program. And the good news is that Hawaii is doing all of these recommendations, either at the state level or HHFDC. We have policies in place that implement all of these recommendations. And on top of that, I'll note that we have the RHRF program, which most other states don't have a gap financing program such as RHRF. So we're ahead of the game there. Also for supportive housing, which I know is top of mind for many people here. It's also supported by the Biden administration through HUD programs such as the HUD Section 202 program, which is primarily for elderly residents, and also by emergency housing vouchers. But with respect to funding of services, that is something that everyone is grappling with and trying to figure out, because that is the challenge for supportive housing is with the housing comes supportive services, and finding a source of funding that can provide a source of long-term funding that supports services. So Medicaid waivers are being used now. There's also interest in medical insurers that are starting to show interest to provide supportive services for housing projects, but there is no model yet. And HUD will be offering more technical assistance in the future. Some of the best practices that were recommended is that if you have a LIHTC supportive housing project, ensure that the general partner has experience with both the services and the funding stream. They should have a referral system in place so that units don't sit vacant, that they have a pipeline of potential tenants to fill units, and to integrate medical respite units into LIHTC projects. And this facilitates the transition of those who are seeking medical attention to move into housing right away. There's a lot more that was covered in the conference, but those are just some of the highlights of it. With respect to House Bill 923, you're probably aware that the purpose of that bill was so we could enter into an agreement with the City and County of Honolulu so that they could return their bond allocation to us. In 2022, Honolulu elected to retain their bond cap. So this agreement would be set up past so that they could return the 23 bond cap. We only awarded 1.4% project this month, and we need to know if the city will be returning their bonds before we can make any more 4% awards. So we're hopeful that we can come to terms with the city on fair and equitable terms to both them and to us. But if we cannot come to terms soon, and when I say soon, in the next couple of weeks, I'm not sure if we can issue any more 4% awards this year, because we wouldn't have the bonds. And last, I just want to note that we had a community meeting in Waihole last week, Thursday. Chris did a great job there. It was to talk about the subsidized lease rent program, but it went off topic. And of course, we started talking about lease rent. One of the suggestions that was made is that we should offer the same offer for residential lots as what is provided to agricultural lessees who have a residence. So for agricultural lots with the residents, the lease rent is increasing by 3.3 times for the residential portion of the lot. So it was suggested that we should provide that same offer to the residential lot lessees. And at that meeting, Chris just said he would take it back to our board, but if such a program were implemented, we would not be having a subsidized rent program. There seems to be some receptiveness to this by the community. So just want to note that we are exploring this, and this might be an option that we take, because even though we may have lower revenue at a 3.3 times lease rent, if we don't have to stand up the subsidized lease rent program, that is quite a bit of savings and time by the agency to stand up a program and to administer it. And we're also not sure how much lease rent will be foregone through such a program also. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Directors, do you have questions for Dean? Okay, if not, thank you. Thank you for the report. So one other item I'd like to bring up, it's kind of a carryover from prior discussion. This is the formation of a permitted interaction group. And the purpose of that would be for the recruitment of a permanent executive director. Because as you know, Dean is currently serving as an acting executive director. And I believe in our past conversation, we identified some board members who could serve on the permitted interaction group. I know Director Medeiros was asked to serve, and we appreciate that very much. We will continue to be willing to serve on that group. And if you could help me with recollection, I believe Director Ryman Carroll was also asked to serve, and hopefully you will continue to do so. I think I was asked, but I we're happy to allow someone else to serve. I understand we can take up to 4 directors to serve on a permitted interaction group. So is there any other director that would like to serve?
Chair?
Yes.
That if there's open slot, consideration for DBED.
So yes, absolutely. You can have a seat, but I believe you need to
name a person.
Yeah.
When do you need the name?
Dane, I've been advised that you can interchange. So. Okay, so yes, you can participate, and so we will have a permitted interaction group of Director Medeiros, a DBED director or their designee, Director Ryman, and oh, and myself. So that'll give us four directors on the interaction group. So
Chair, can you just specify what the parameters are of this
permitted interaction group, so
Yes,
that
it
they're
is
going to be
to,
overseeing the search and selection.
this is to, oversee the search and selection of a new executive director. And I think it would be, behoove us all to move forward, to start this process and look forward to working with all of those who have been designated to serve on this permitted interaction group. So do I need to take any kind of?
No, is that your thought?
Okay, so no motion is required, so we can now say that we have created our permitted interaction group. And any further discussion or comments on that? If not, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn. This
So
meeting.
moved.
Okay, so do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned.